where we started with it was we said, okay, let's look at some of the easier ones to begin with. And for us, what that meant was, all right, we're talking about going to our suppliers, so we're going to push on payment terms. We're going to push on rebates. And then we're also going to push on just general, what I would call data collection or data attribute collection from them. And that would be things like, are you a diverse supplier? Tell us about yourself. Like just those type of things that in some of our, with some of our supplier data, we didn't have those areas filled in. So it let us kind of at first go after those 3 points of collection. We've kind of completed our beta test. And so we really kind of threw this out at first and we focused on about 100 suppliers. And we naturally said, okay, where are you going to go if you're looking at 100 suppliers? Well, let's look in the supplier tail, the suppliers that we rarely talk to. So we originally kind of took the bots, we threw them in the tail. We took, because our data wasn't always the best for those wonderful suppliers of ours. So what we did at that point is we said, we've got to look at the big things like terms, like rebates, where we can kind of be more bludgeoning with a hammer. We don't have the precise data. Since then, we've continued to kind of evolve how we use it. We've learned a lot through the process. And so what we started to do is not just go after the big things like terms, but go after very specific things like, hey, based on this indice, we think that this item is priced too high. Like, let's start individual negotiation on items or market baskets with different suppliers. So it's changed for us where it was, again, it started out a little more broadly, which was great. And now what we've just been able to do is refine the approach, refine the data that's needed to kind of go towards a deeper P&L impact. To be honest with you, Martin, like when we started it, like I hadn't thought about any of the softer kind of process improvement stuff. It was like just show me the money type of an approach. But what was surprising us when we went through it is, again, just if you think about how we started it, we went after the tail suppliers. And so what we started to see through it was like, yes, we got the hard savings, and I love every bit of that. But then also what we started to get is a larger conversation with some of these smaller niche suppliers around where they could actually help us impact growth more. So we started to kind of bring some of them, not all of them, but some of them closer to the limelight on our preferred supplier list that allowed us to kind of have new partners in new geographies where we might not have, and those type of things. So what we began to realize quickly is that it became a tool for us to interact with our supply base at a different level, where it wasn't just about, a big part of it was the hard savings, but it was also about like, hey, where can you help us? What gaps do you have? Are there specific regions that you service? Like you can put those questions in there where we began to, I think, learn a little more about those suppliers that we don't interact with heavily. Within our test, we grabbed like 100 suppliers. If you think about like the hard stats of it, what we started to see is out of the 100 suppliers that we threw this at, we had about a full completion rate of like 30 to 40%, which is really surprising because again, we threw bots at the tail to 100 people, and 30 to 40% of them are actually going all the way through the process. Of those 30 to 40%, the feedback we got was actually really favorable. It was about a 90% in the post-survey said that it was a favorable experience, which really surprised us. And a few of them, which I think this might have been a dig at us, but a few of them were saying that this was the easiest negotiation we've ever had with Veritiv, which is like, okay, like thank you suppliers.